Tonight, your child will ask you to check under the bed. You'll get down on your knees. You'll look. There will be nothing there. But your child still won't sleep. Why? The answer isn't really about monsters. It's about how your child's brain is built right now, at this exact age. And it's far stranger than you think. Start with the dark itself. When the lights go off, your child's eyes stop giving them reliable information. The brain hates that. It fills the gap. A pile of laundry becomes a shape. A shadow from a tree becomes a claw. This is an imagination running wild for no reason. It's a prediction machine doing its job. Your brain is always guessing what's out there, and in darkness, it guesses toward danger, because for most of human history, darkness actually was dangerous. Here's where it gets interesting. Psychologist Jean Piaget spent decades studying how children think, and he noticed something specific in early childhood. Young kids often can't fully separate what's imagined from what's real. He called part of this animism, the tendency to believe that objects and even shadows have intentions, feelings, maybe even a will of their own. A coat on a chair isn't just a coat. To a 4-year-old's brain, it might be watching them. That sounds irrational, but it's not a flaw. It's a stage. Your child's brain is still building the wall between fantasy and reality, and that wall isn't finished yet. Think about what that means for a moment. An adult sees a lump under a blanket and immediately files it as fabric. A child's brain hasn't finished building that filter. The line is still wet cement. Now add memory into the mix. Preschoolers are absorbing stories constantly. Books, cartoons, a scary scene glimpsed for 2 seconds on a sibling screen. None of it gets filed away neatly. Researcher Jacqueline Woolley has spent years studying what she calls magical thinking in children, the ability to hold 2 beliefs at once. Your child can know monsters aren't real and still feel, in their body, that one might be under the bed tonight. Knowing and feeling run on separate tracks in the young brain. Adults assume knowing should override feeling. For a 5-year-old, it often can't. Why does this hit hardest right at bedtime? Because bedtime strips away every distraction your child normally has. No noise, no screen, no parent hovering nearby. Just their own mind, alone in a dark room. Neuroscientists have long understood that fear circuitry, centered in a small almond-shaped structure called the amygdala, gets more active when the brain has less outside information to work with. Less input, more internal noise. The amygdala is essentially your alarm system, and darkness turns the volume up. Here's the twist most parents never hear. Fear of the dark isn't a sign that something is wrong with your child. It's often a sign that something is going right. Researcher Paul Harris, who studies the developing imagination, has argued that imaginative thinking and fearful thinking come from the exact same cognitive machinery. The same mental tool that lets your child pretend a stick is a sword, that lets them build entire fantasy worlds, that lets them empathize with a character in a story, is the tool that conjures a monster under the bed. You can't easily have one without the other. A child with almost no capacity for fear at night is often a child with a less developed imaginative life overall. So when your child cries about a monster, they're not malfunctioning. They're using the most advanced part of their mind. It's just aimed for one moment at something you can't see. There's a developmental timeline to this, too. Fear of the dark tends to spike between roughly ages 2 and 6, then fade as the brain matures, and that wall between imagination and reality gets sturdier. Studies on childhood fears, going back decades, consistently find the same pattern across cultures. Monsters, the dark, being alone. These are almost universal. Not because every culture tells the same stories, but because every human brain at that age is solving the same problem with the same raw materials. Now here's the part that connects to something bigger. Adults think they've outgrown this. But have you? Think about the last time you walked into a dark parking garage alone. Think about the last time you heard a strange creak in your house at 2 a.m. Your rational brain knows it's probably nothing. Your heart rate says otherwise. The monster under the bed didn't disappear when you turned 10. It just changed shape. It became a strange noise, a dark hallway, a wrong number calling twice. The mechanism never left. It just got quieter, and you got better at talking yourself down from it. So what actually helps a frightened child if the logic of there's nothing there doesn't work? The research points somewhere unexpected. It's not about proving the monster is fake. It's about giving the child a sense of control over the story. A flashlight, they hold themselves. A monster spray, they get a spray. A rule they invent, like monsters can't cross a line of stuffed animals. None of this works because it's logically airtight. It works because it hands the imagination back to the child, letting them become the author of the story instead of a character trapped inside it. That's the real reframe. Your child's fear isn't a failure of reasoning. It's proof their imagination is powerful enough to build entire worlds, and right now, in the dark, it's building the wrong one. Your job isn't to argue with that imagination. It's to help steer it. Because one day, that same wiring that once summoned a monster under the bed will let your child write a story, solve a problem no one else can see the shape of, or imagine a future that doesn't exist yet. The fear and the gift are the same circuit. So tonight, when you get down on your knees and look under that bed, you're not just checking for monsters. You're witnessing your child's mind at one of its most remarkable stages, a mind so capable of building things from nothing that for a few years, it occasionally builds something that frightens its own creator. Tonight, when your child asks you to check under the bed, look again. You're not checking for a monster. You're looking at the earliest proof of an imagination powerful enough